Today on Upfront, the final push. Presidents past and present hit the campaign trail in Wisconsin, with health care emerging as a top issue. Next, Democrat for Attorney General Josh Kaul on how he would unwind Wisconsin from a lawsuit over Obamacare. Plus, Republican Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Kleefisch on the Walker administration's pledge to protect people with pre-existing conditions. And GOP congressional candidate Brian Stile on immigration. Is there a crisis at the border?
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. We're in the final days of the 2018 campaign, and both parties are bringing in their biggest stars for the final push to Election Day. President Trump campaigned in Mosinee on Wednesday at a rally for Republican Governor Scott Walker and GOP Senate candidate Leah Vukmir.
So between Scott and Leah, who's in favor of those two great people, yes?
Former President Barack Obama appeared in Milwaukee on Friday for Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin, gubernatorial candidate Tony Evers, congressional candidates Randy Bryce and Dan Cole, and Attorney General candidate Josh Kaul.
I am here to ask you to vote in what might be the most important election of our lifetimes.
Health care has emerged as a top issue this year, and Obama's signature Affordable Care Act is at the center of it. We'll have several perspectives on the politics of health care on today's program, beginning with the Democrat for Attorney General Josh Kaul, who has pledged to take Wisconsin out of a lawsuit over Obamacare. Josh Kaul, it's good to have you back on the program today.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me, Mike.
So obviously the state is suing to end Obamacare. You have said you would want to take us out. How exactly would you do that?
So you're exactly right. Brad Schimel is one of the leaders of a lawsuit right now that's seeking to invalidate the Affordable Care Act. If that suit is successful, protections are going to be eliminated for people with pre-existing conditions. Young adults would once again be able to, would no longer have the guarantee that they can remain on their parents' coverage until they're 26. And the Congressional Budget Office estimates that more than 30 million Americans will become uninsured if the major components of the Affordable Care Act are struck down. So that suit, I think, is clearly not in the interests of Wisconsinites. And what I would do as AG is seek to withdraw the state of Wisconsin from that lawsuit. I would ask the governor for permission to withdraw, and if that permission is granted, I would ask the court for permission to withdraw, because we face serious challenges right now. We face an opioid epidemic that continues to get worse. We have a growing meth problem. I don't think we should be fighting to take protections away from people with pre-existing conditions.
There is the possibility you could be elected and Governor Walker could be reelected. So if he wants to continue pursuing this, what would you do?
Well, first I would reach out to him and I would make my best case for why I think we should withdraw from this suit. He has said that he wants to protect people with pre-existing conditions, and I would ask him to live up to that agreement, because this lawsuit certainly isn't doing that. But if he insisted that the state remained involved, then as AG, I would have to remain involved.
I want to ask you about a couple of the key issues for you in this campaign. You've been very critical of Attorney General Schimel on the issue of testing, of rape test kits. Now, this is a problem that took 2 decades. Brad Schimel says, I inherited this, and we got it done. We got it done. In 3 years, we got 4,000 tests done. Why does he get no credit from you?
Well, you're certainly right that this is a problem that built up over a long period of time, including in Waukesha County, where Brad Schimel was DA. But we received funding to test these kits in Schimel's first year in office, millions of dollars to test them. And after he had been AG for 2 years, only 9 of the more than 4,000 kits that had to be tested had been tested.
He said there weren't enough labs available around the country to do the testing.
So if you compare how Wisconsin did to how other jurisdictions did that got funding at the same time, about 2.5 years after we received funding, we had tested about 2,000 kits. Portland had tested 3 times that many. Nevada had tested twice that many. They were facing the same constraints, but they made faster progress. And the result of this has been that justice has been delayed for survivors of sexual assault, and that dangerous criminals have remained on the streets longer than they should have. There still has not been a single conviction in Wisconsin resulting from the testing of those kits. Only 3 people have been charged. Brad Schimel said during one of our debates that the mission had been accomplished, and I fundamentally disagree with that. The goal here is not simply to test these kits, it is to get justice for survivors of sexual assault. And as AG, I'm going to make sure that that's a priority.
Brad Schimel's campaign says this race is about experience, and that you are woefully inadequate when it comes to experience, that you have a very limited experience as a prosecutor, never prosecuted a single case in the state of Wisconsin. What do you say to that?
I was a federal prosecutor in one of the most dangerous cities in the country. I was in the narcotics section. I prosecuted drug traffickers, gang members, and murderers. And I'm happy to compare that record with Brad Schimmel's record as AG, where we have seen
prosecuted thousands. You've prosecuted 30.
Yeah, so if you look at Brad Schimmel's record as AG, he is up for re-election. The question for voters is, should he get a second term or should we go a different direction? And his record as AG is failure after failure on critical public safety issues. We talked about his mishandling of the rape kit backlog, but the opioid epidemic has continued to get worse. There's been over a 40% increase in opioid-related overdose deaths from 2015 to 2017, and he's shown bad judgment on public safety issues. He suggested we consider arming teachers, when I think what we need are some common sense gun safety measures like universal background checks. He mishandled the Lincoln Hills investigation, and he hasn't even stepped up to try to stop the distribution of blueprints for guns that can be made on for 3D, making guns on 3D printers. Those would be untraceable plastic guns that would present a real danger, and I think we need a chief law enforcement officer who's going to put our public safety first. You started running your first TV ad in this race on October 15th, I believe. Is that too late for people to get to know you? The numbers and some of the polling show that the vast majority of people in the state have no clue as to who you are. So I think that we have time to get our message out, and of course I've been traveling around the state and I'm going to continue traveling around the state and talking about the issues. And there are clear differences between Brad Schimmel and me, and I think that by Election Day those differences will be clear to people, and I'm upbeat about how the election is going to go. Josh Kaul is the Democratic candidate for Attorney General in the state of Wisconsin. Thanks very much for being with us. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And my conversation with Attorney Kaul continues now on our website. We'll be asking him about a controversial third-party TV ad that the Schimmel campaign says is false and has been taken off the air by some TV stations. You can find that discussion on WISN.com. Coming up later on Up Front, Republicans respond to Democratic claims that they would eliminate coverage for pre-existing conditions. I'll be talking with Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Kleefisch. But first, the race in the 1st Congressional District. Republican Brian Stile on his campaign heading into the home stretch. That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.